welcome back to The Drawing Life. I'm your host Ian Su, and today, as I was looking through the list of topics, I realized that I haven't done a fantasy illustration for a while. The last fantasy illustration I did was, a fantasy illustration in which I painted a city in the clouds. You can go check that out in the description box below. But one of my favorite fantasy illustrations that I have done, of course, was the fantasy treehouse video. And I'm searching through all my past videos here to see if I can find a little bit of that for you here. Hold on just a second. Here we go. The fantasy illustration, which I did some time back. Let's see, it was March, which was 3 months ago. And I did this fantasy illustration, one of my favorite videos actually, and it was watercolor techniques basically, and I decided I want to do another fantasy illustration today, and today I have the topic of wizards, so let us do it. So before we get started with this video, I just want to say that this video is going to contain quite a bit of time lapse because I want to spend as much time as I can with it. I'm just gonna go ahead and start on the wizard's hat. I want to give him a nice crooked hat, and I'm gonna do some of that in time lapse, and I'll be right back to explain a little bit about what I did. Alright, sorry about that. I thought I had pressed the time lapse button. This happens to me occasionally. I thought I pressed the time lapse button, but I actually had not. It was not rolling. So what I have done here is I've created the hat. You know what? I'm gonna zoom in so that there will be better focus on what I'm trying to do here. I have drawn one line going up, almost curvature, going up like that, right here, like that. Then I have made a few crooked lines here, like a zigzag, maybe like an S, perhaps. Then I made another curvature line that then connected to this other, almost right angle over here, and it went up and then this way. And then I just made a few little, crooked, more zigzaggy stuff here to make it look a little bit more realistic. But then I added this band here, as well as these lines to make it a little bit more, realistic. Then I did the same thing over here, but I added this band here that I will later color in to make it a little more, obvious that there's a band there. Well, I'm gonna go back in time lapse, finish up a little bit more of the wizard, and we'll be right back to talk a little bit more. Alright, so I finished up a bit of the wizard's face, and this is not exactly a lesson on how to draw hair, but I'm gonna give some advice on how to do it anyway. Just make these loose strands of hair, almost like you're cross-hatching almost. And one thing is for certain, I have not taped this page down. You're gonna see it spinning around, and I have learned my lesson from my previous video. I tried taping it down, and then it got a little bit tiring. I couldn't move the paper. I can't move the paper because I'm more used to having it spin around like so. And just getting it back in focus. Alright, right here I did like this mouth, and then I did a mustache that then led down to a long gray beard that we're gonna talk about later. But for now, I'm gonna go in with some more of his facial features and eyebrows and whatnot, and more wrinkles, and we'll be right back. Alright, so I thought I would illustrate one of his eyebrows, the other side of his eyebrows, in real time, just so you could have a little bit of a feel of what I'm aiming for, this bushy eyebrow. I'm just adding some quick shade in here, holding the pencil really close to the paper and very lightly coming in with some shade. And that presents us with a nice bushy eyebrow. And I'm also gonna make some more wrinkles and start working on the pupil here. Alright, so finished on most of his beard, the guidelines for his beard anyway, and I didn't want to say that I did turn his mouth into a sort of a faint smile, sort of like a mysterious smile, and because the other guy looked like really angry wizard, like he's threatening you, almost like an evil wizard. I didn't really want it to be in that tone. I don't like that sort of fantasy illustrations or even fantasy stories, which is sort of why I'm aiming at this, because my next fantasy story, A Doorway to Magic, which I've talked about for a very long time and still isn't published, isn't finished yet, but I will get it finished soon, which is something that I've been saying. Hopefully by summer or fall is the best I might be able to do on this particular project. And this book is going to have this particular share of wizards that I will not spoil you about right now, but the next time when it is finally published, hopefully it will even get published, I will talk to you about this particular project and how and why I meant to do a wizard. But I'm gonna go back into time lapse. Sorry about all this time lapse, but this is really a sort of a video in which I want as much time lapse because I want to spend as much time on it as possible. So let us begin the next round of time lapse. I'm gonna go in with his staff. He's gonna be sort of leaning on his staff. Alright, so hopefully in the inking process, I will sort of tighten things up. But for now, I just want to just sort of clarify that I wanted him to have, deliberately wanted him to have a lot of layers of clothing, like this robe, for example. I needed like this flowing robe that I will later color in. I wanted this illustration to be full color, and that's about it. I mean, you can dress your wizard in whatever way you want, but for now I'm just making these really sketchy lines. And I also wanted to talk about the staff. You can also make the staff whatever way you want. I'm making it sort of like like it goes slanted down in as many sections. I also put this pearl up here. But I believe it is almost time to tighten up these pencil lines. Try to tighten them up as much as possible anyway, so we can go on to the inking. Okay, so the penciling is finished. Still quite sketchy. I'm gonna need to tighten that up in the inking stage. But now I'm gonna pull out my trusty old Sharpie. Just kidding. I'm gonna pull out my Micron Pigma, my favorite pen of choice, to start getting in some of these lines. This is actually kind of getting dried out, so. Which means I can get some really thin lines, and if I push down harder, I get some thick lines. So let's finish up this inking. Okay, so as I was inking, I discovered that working on a vertical illustration such as this is very hard, because it's very hard to position the camera. Probably in some parts of the time lapse, the camera didn't focus on the part where I was inking. But luckily, about half an hour has passed, and I have let the ink dry for about let's say 10 minutes. So I spent 20 minutes inking this entire drawing, and now I'm taking my eraser to erase these lines. This is a kneaded eraser that you can get at art stores. I got this on Amazon, but I believe Michaels sells it too. If you're not living in the US, maybe there's no Michaels around where you live, but this is the kneaded erasers. I might link to them in the description box below, maybe, or you can go check out my art supply video, and that's where you can find the link to it. And this is the thing about the kneaded erasers. If you go too hard with a pencil, it won't erase fully. You gotta go on top of it many times. And but that's the good thing about the Pigma Micron. It does not fade. Unipin pens, you know, those black pens I used to use, they faded quite a bit. And this staff wasn't what this staff wasn't what the wasn't the look I was going for, but hopefully we'll be able to fix that a little bit in the coloring stage, which is what we're gonna go to now. I'm not gonna do that in time lapse. I'm not gonna do that in real time, unfortunately. No surprise there. But I am going to come back to talk about it. You can color your wizard in any way you want, any way whatsoever. And the first thing I'm gonna do is to add some final touches to this illustration, such as adding this feather right here, and also maybe a last cape. Final cape, why not? We have a lot of time today. And as you can see, I switched from my 08 to other 08s that I have because this one was really running out of ink, and also to the 03 for these cross hatching, for this cross hatching down here at his pants. And then now I'm gonna just go ahead and ink it in real time. Because this is quite a dried out micron, I can get really thin lines with it. Here, let me grab a, let's see here. I have a new newer 08 over here in my box, and I can show you, like, here, let me see how thick it comes out when it comes to the really thick lines, the really new ones. But I'm gonna go back to my dried out one because I really want this to be kind of thin. And I also ink the feather. You know what, let me get a thick one. What do we have here? Ah, here we go. Okay, get a thick one. And some people have been talking about how I hold my pencil in a kind of weird way. I mean, do you have to hold the pencil in my weird way, this way? Do you have to? No, of course you don't. You can do whatever way up it's most comfortable for you. I sometimes do this, like that. I know some people do this, or even this, or some people do this. I don't know, but I sometimes like to, especially when I'm inking, I like to go back to that this position. But especially with the pencil, I can't do that, so it's kind of difficult. I'm gonna erase even more. I hope this video hasn't gone on too long. I see 4 minutes in this section already, so hurry up. It's time to get to the coloring stage. And as I said, you can go to any you can use any colors you want. I'm not trying to force you to do anything, but yeah, that's just basically it. I'm gonna take the Copic, start filling in this area, and we'll be back. Okay, another extensive period of time lapse. Oh my goodness, this is, I will admit, a very hard illustration color. Look at all that purple. But luckily I finished, and it has been about an hour since I last talked to you. I did come in with some gray for his hair, but the rest I did with Prismacolor and Copic, which I will talk about right now. Let's start with the hat. I did a blend of the B00 Frost Blue, I believe it says, and also the B04 as the darker tone. I hope you can see that. The Tahitian Blue, I believe it says. Let's see, for the skin tones, I did a blend of the Y23 yellowish beige and the Y19 Napoli yellow, and for the gray I used a Mala marker, and then I used this Prismacolor marker to add in some color for his robe. Then I used the crimson. It's actually not crimson, it's R46, a strong red, Copic also. Then for the staff, I used a brown Prismacolor, and then for the pearl on the top with the golden yellow, I did a mixture of these two, but then I also used for the pearl inside R43 along with my nice acrylic marker to fill in the highlights over there. And after that, this illustration was finished after a blend of this for the bottom for his layer of clothing below. You know what, I should add some inside here. And I believe that kind of brings us near to the end of this video. I'm going to go back to my B000, what I'm talking about, to add some magic streams floating about up here. Sorry, the camera, it's not positioned correctly. As you can see, the B00 is a frost kind of color, so comes for a nice sort of effect, and coming out of the pearl. And I believe that kind of brings us to the end of this video. Hold on just a second. Okay, so because of this vertical thing here, I can't show the entire illustration and it's final, so I'm just gonna position it as far as it can go about here. And I believe it is finally time that I come in. Just gonna add some final to this pearl right here with the R46, and I believe that brings us to the end of this video. I'm gonna wind it down by saying thank you so much for watching this video. I'm gonna lay down the Copics one by one next to each other. All the Copics that I used, I think I used all my Copics in this video. And that brings us to the end of this video. Please hit that subscribe button for new videos every week, and hit like if you liked this Copic markering video. If you didn't like this Copic markering video, unfortunately, then you're probably not going to tap it. But I believe that brings us to the end of this video. Hold on, I have one more Copic that I'm going to put down right here. And thank you so much for watching again, and we'll be back next time.